The auction yard was filled with noise. Traders shouted, buyers laughed, and slaves cried. It was a hot, dusty day on the desert planet of Vornak 5. The air smelled like sweat and fear. Among the dirty cages sat a young alien girl. Her skin was a soft silver blue, and her eyes were large and filled with sadness. Chains were around her ankles and wrists. Her clothes were torn and thin. She looked no older than 18 in human years. Bring out the last one. A loud alien trader yelled. Guards dragged the girl to the auction stage. She didn't fight. She didn't scream. She had learned long ago fighting only made it worse. The crowd looked at her and laughed. She's too thin. Looks weak, probably useless. The trader raised his hand. Starting bid 10 credits. No one responded. Come on, she's young. She still has some use. Still, no one spoke. The trader cursed. Fine, 5 credits. Silence. Then from the back of the crowd a quiet voice said, 3. Everyone turned. A human stepped forward. He was older, with gray in his beard and deep lines on his face. He wore simple clothes, dusty boots, and a long brown coat. His name was Reynold, but no one there knew it yet. The crowd chuckled. Why would a human buy her? She won't even survive the night. But Reynold didn't answer. He just looked at the girl with tired eyes. The trader grinned. Sold, 3 credits. The girl's heart dropped. Why? Why did he buy me? She thought. Is he worse than the others? The girl was given to Reynold with her chains still on. He took the key and led her quietly out of the auction yard. He didn't speak, didn't pull her, didn't hit her. That alone confused her. They walked through the dusty town and out into the rocky hills. The sun burned above them. The girl stumbled, but Reynold never rushed her. After some time, they reached a small metal shelter. It was simple, old, but clean. Inside was a soft mat, a water tank, and a single lamp. Reynold unlocked her chains and gently placed a blanket around her shoulders. The girl didn't move. She just looked up at him, shaking. I won't run, she whispered. Just, please, don't hurt me, I'll obey. I can cook, clean, whatever you want. Just don't chain me again. Reynold looked down at her and spoke for the first time since the auction. I didn't buy you to hurt you. The girl blinked. She didn't believe him. How could she? He walked to the corner and placed a bowl of warm stew and a bottle of clean water in front of her. Then he stepped back and sat far across the room, pulling out a small book and opening it. The girl didn't touch the food at first. She waited, watched him. Was this a trick? Some kind of test? But the food smelled good. Her stomach growled. Slowly, she picked up the bowl and ate. It was the first real food she'd had in days. She kept glancing at the man. He didn't look at her. He just read quietly. After a while, she whispered, What's your name? He looked up. Reynold. Why did you buy me? He didn't answer at first. Then he said, Because no one else did. Tears filled her eyes. That answer confused her more than anything else. What kind of man was this? That night, she lay on the mat with the blanket pulled close. Reynold slept near the door, his coat as his pillow. She didn't sleep much. She kept waiting for something bad to happen. But nothing did. In the morning, he made her breakfast. When he handed it to her, she asked, Aren't you going to do anything to me? Reynold frowned. Like what? She looked away, ashamed. Other buyers, they hurt me. They used me. He was silent. Then he said softly, That won't happen here. The days passed slowly. Reynold spoke little, but he was never cruel. He didn't give orders. He didn't chain her. He even gave her a change of clothes, plain but clean. Still, the girl couldn't. Relax, she kept thinking. He's just pretending. One day he'll show his real face. But that day didn't come. She started watching him more closely. He spent his time fixing things, gardening, and reading old books. Sometimes he would talk to the plants as he worked. Sometimes she saw sadness in his eyes when he thought she wasn't looking. One evening, she finally asked, "Why do you live alone?" He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "It's peaceful." She nodded, but deep inside, she felt something. A question rising in her chest. Is he lonely too? And as the sun set behind the hills, painting the sky with orange and purple light, the girl looked at Reynold and whispered in her heart, "Maybe. Maybe he's not like the others." But she wasn't ready to trust him. Not yet, but maybe soon. She woke up in the middle of the night, heart racing. The man was still sleeping, his back to her, coat wrapped around him. The soft sound of wind outside was the only thing she could hear. Her chains were gone. The door was unlocked. This was her chance. She sat up slowly, careful not to make a sound. Her bare feet touched the cool floor. Every step toward the door felt like walking on sharp knives. She was ready to run. But something strange happened. She turned and looked at him one last time. He hadn't moved. He was still breathing calmly. Why is he making it so easy? She pushed the door open and stepped out into the cold night. The wind hit her skin like ice. She pulled the old blanket around her tighter and walked down the hill. She didn't know where she was going. She just wanted to get far away. She didn't trust him, couldn't trust him. No one ever gave something for free, especially not to someone like her. But after only a few hours, her legs gave out. She was cold, hungry. The blanket was torn by thorns. Her breath came out in weak clouds. She sat behind a rock and hugged her knees. She didn't cry. She was too tired for that. Maybe I'll just sleep here. Just for a little. Her eyes slowly closed. Then she heard footsteps. She froze. Someone was coming. Was it Reynold? Was he chasing her? She held her breath and stayed low. But instead of shouting or grabbing her, the person walked past her rock. She peeked up. It was Reynold. He had a small light and a bag on his shoulder. But he wasn't looking for her. He was picking herbs and digging near plants. He didn't even know she was there. He wasn't searching at all. An hour later, he returned to the shelter, still without seeing her. She watched him go, confused. He didn't come after me. No shouting, no threats, no anger. She waited until the sun began to rise. Then, slowly, she walked back. Her stomach was in pain. Her head was spinning. When she reached the door, it opened before she could knock. Reynold stood there with a cup in his hand. "You look like you need this," he said calmly. It was warm tea. She took it slowly, not meeting his eyes. I thought you'd lock the door," she mumbled. "I didn't." "Why not?" he shrugged. "You're not my prisoner." She frowned. "But I belong to you. You bought me." He shook his head. "No one belongs to anyone." She looked up at him, searching for any sign of a lie. But there was nothing but calm truth in his eyes. "Then why did you let me go?" He sat down on a crate and sighed. "I don't believe in keeping someone who wants to leave," he said. "If you want to run again, I won't stop you." She stared at him. Her hands trembled around the cup. "You're strange, maybe. No one's ever treated me like this." He said nothing, only looked out the window at the orange sky. She stayed, not because he told her to, but because for the first time in years, someone gave her a choice. That afternoon, she helped him water the garden. The soil was dry, but Reynold worked with care. He touched each plant gently, like it was a living thing with feelings. "Why do you grow these?" she asked. "Because something needs to grow in this dead place," he said. She looked around. The land was dry, cracked, lifeless. But inside the fence, green leaves rose up toward the sky. She understood. In a small way, he was trying to grow something soft in a world that had turned hard. Later that night, she sat outside the shelter and watched the stars. Reynold joined her. He handed her a small fruit from the garden. She tasted it. "Sweet, juicy. Thank you," she said. He nodded. "I'm still scared of you," she whispered. I know. I don't trust you. That's okay. But I didn't run. I noticed. They sat in silence for a while. She looked up at the stars again. Do you think someone's looking for me up there? She asked. Do you want them to be? He asked back. She shook her head slowly. No, not if they'll take me back. And so the alien slave girl who once believed she would be tortured now sat beside a quiet, middle-aged human under the stars free. But still unsure what freedom really meant. But deep inside her heart, a tiny light had started to flicker. Not trust, not yet, but something close to it. She had never seen anyone cry in their sleep before, but tonight, Reynold did. The alien girl stayed quiet in the corner, half covered in a blanket, pretending to sleep. The fire had gone low. The wind howled outside. But it wasn't the cold that kept her awake. It was the soft sound of the human man weeping in the dark. No words. No screaming. Just a broken sound like something deep inside him had cracked open. And no one was there to see but her. In the morning, he acted like nothing happened. He fixed the fence, boiled water, fed the small green bird that came by his window every morning, but she couldn't forget what she saw. Why would a man who lived alone, who showed kindness to a slave girl, cry in his sleep? Who was he? Later that day, she asked softly, Reynold, do you have a family? He paused while cutting vegetables. His hands stopped, but his eyes didn't lift. I used to, he said. She waited for more, but he said nothing else. She followed him outside, watching him check a broken solar panel. Her voice was careful, almost scared of his silence. Did you lose them? He wiped the dust from the panel. Yes, I'm sorry. He nodded once. Me too. That evening, while Reynold cooked, she wandered near his old storage box. It wasn't locked. Inside were old books, some tech tools, and a photo. She froze when she saw it. It was a picture of a young woman. She was smiling, holding a baby. Her skin was silver blue. Like hers, the woman looked just like her. Older, maybe, but the same eyes. The same shape. She felt her breath catch. Before she could think, she turned to Reynold and held up the photo. Who is this? He looked over. His eyes went wide for a moment. Then he slowly put down the pot. He walked over, took the photo gently, and sat down. My daughter, he said. The girl felt like the ground moved under her feet. Your daughter was like me. She married someone from your world, an alien. Your species, I think. What happened to her? She asked. Reynold didn't speak for a long time. Then, she disappeared 10 years ago, with her child. The girl's heart pounded. My name, she whispered, is Leary. His eyes met hers full of shock. That was the name of her child. He said. Silence. Only the wind blowing outside the shelter filled the space between them. Leary sat down slowly, staring at the floor. I don't remember much, she said. I only know pain, cages, voices yelling. I thought that was my whole life. Reynold was quiet. Then with a shaking voice he said, I searched every planet, every port, every contact I had, but I never found her, or you. Leary looked at him. So you didn't buy me by accident, did you? He nodded. I didn't know for sure, but something in me said, save her. She felt something break inside her. Not pain, not fear. Something warmer. Something that felt like belonging. Later that night, she couldn't sleep. So she asked, what was she like, your daughter? Reynold smiled for the first time. A small, tired smile. Strong, smarter than me. Brave. Kind. She loved stars and trouble. Leary laughed softly. Maybe I'm a little like her then. Maybe, he said. They sat near the fire. No chains. No lies, no pretending. For the first time they looked at each other not as owner and slave. Not even as human and alien. But maybe as something far more important. Family. But deep in the stars, someone else had just learned that Leary was still alive. And they were coming. Not to rescue her, but to take her back. Asterisk. Leary woke up screaming. Her hands reached for chains that weren't there. Her body shook like it remembered pain that hadn't touched her in days. But the pain in her dream had felt real. Too real. Reynolds was already beside her, holding a warm cloth and whispering, "It's okay. It's just a dream. You're safe." She blinked, heart pounding, chest tight. But the fear didn't fade. Because this time, it wasn't just a dream. Later that morning, she sat alone outside the shelter, hugging her knees and watching the sky. Reynolds brought her tea, but she didn't drink it. "They'll come for me," she said quietly. He didn't ask who they were. He already knew. "The traitor?" he said. She nodded. And worse, he wasn't just a seller. He was part of a group. A ring that moves girls across systems. If they find out I escaped, they'll want to make an example. Reynolds' face turned hard. "Let them try." "No," she said. "You don't understand. They have weapons, drones, bounty hunters. I've seen what they do to people who help girls like me." She looked up at him with wide, serious eyes. "They'll kill you." Reynolds didn't respond. He just walked back inside. Leary followed. She expected fear, maybe even him telling her to leave. But instead, he opened a metal locker near the back wall. Inside was a long, dusty case. He opened it. Leary stared. It was a weapon. Old, but strong. Heavy, human-made, modified for alien tech. "You're a soldier?" she asked. "Used to be." She touched the edge of the rifle carefully. "Why do you still have this?" He looked at her with eyes that had seen war. "Because peace doesn't last." That night, he trained her. She learned to use a scanner, a small stun knife, how to hide heat signatures, where to shoot if someone wore armor. Reynolds moved slow, careful not to scare her, but he taught her everything she'd need to survive. And maybe to fight. But deep down, she wasn't scared for herself. She was scared for him. 2 days later, the warning came. A probe drone flew low above the shelter. It circled once, then vanished into the hills. I dropped the tools in her hand. "They found me," she whispered. Reynolds looked at the sky calmly. "How long until they come?" "Not long." That night, Leary stood near the fire, holding the old photo of Reynolds' daughter. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Why not send me away? Why risk your life?" He looked at her gently. "Because if I send you away, they'll just catch you again." He walked up and placed a hand on her shoulder. "And I couldn't save your mother, but I can save you." She wanted to say something, but her throat felt tight. In that moment, she wasn't just an alien slave girl anymore. She was someone's granddaughter. She was someone worth saving. The wind grew strong that night. And far in the hills, shadows moved. The first shot came before sunrise. It struck the ground near the garden, sending dirt and sparks flying. Leary jumped up from sleep, heart racing. She looked around. Reynolds was already gone. The door was open. Smoke drifted in. Then she heard it. Gunfire. Real, sharp, deadly. They had come. Leary crawled to the edge of the window and peeked outside. 3 armored figures moved through the hills. Dark suits, glowing visors. "Bounty hunters," one of them shouted. "The girl is worth double if alive. Bring the human down." Another shot cracked through the air. But it wasn't theirs. It came from Reynolds. He stood alone on the ridge, his old plasma rifle glowing in his arms. The bounty hunter aimed at him, but Reynolds fired first. The shot hit the man's shoulder, spinning him backward. Leary couldn't breathe. He's outnumbered. But Reynolds didn't move. He walked forward, calm and deadly, like a ghost of war. She grabbed the small knife he had given her and ran outside. Keeping low. She wanted to run to him, to help, but he yelled without turning, "Stay back." She froze behind a rock. One of the attackers tossed a shock grenade. It exploded. Bright light, loud sound. Leary screamed, covering her ears. When the light faded, Reynolds was on one knee, wounded, but still fighting. Two bounty hunters closed. In. One shouted, "Give us the girl, old man, and we'll let you crawl away." Reynolds stood again, bleeding from his arm. "You came to the wrong hill," he said coldly. Then he fired twice, 2 clean shots. Both hunters dropped. Only one remained. This one was larger, faster. She charged Reynolds with a roar, blades in both hands. They clashed. Reynolds blocked the first swing, dodged the second, but he was slowing down. Leary couldn't just watch. She ran toward them, yelling. The bounty hunter turned, distracted, and Reynolds used that moment. One final strike to her chest. Sparks flew. She dropped. Silenced. Only the wind. Then Leary ran to him. He dropped his rifle and fell to one knee again, clutching his side. "Reynolds!" She cried, catching him. He looked up at her, blood on his lip. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded, but tears ran down her cheeks. "You protected me." He gave her a weak smile. "Of course I did. No one ever did that before," she whispered. "Not like this. Not like a father." His eyes softened, and he pulled her close. "I may not be your real father," he said, voice cracking, "but I love you like you're mine." She held him tightly, as if her arms could stop him from fading. But he didn't fade. He was wounded, but alive. And together, they had survived. They burned the bodies that night. No graves, no marks, no trackers, just fire and silence. Leary stood beside the flames, arms crossed. "I should leave," she said. Reynolds, sitting nearby with his arm bandaged, looked at her. "No. They'll keep coming. Then we fight again." She turned to him. "You could have let them take me." "I could have. But you didn't." He looked at the stars above them. "I didn't save my daughter," he whispered, "but I'll protect you to the end." Leary didn't cry, but something deep inside her changed. She was no longer the slave girl in chains. She was someone with a past, and now someone with a future. Leary found the hidden box while cleaning the old storage room. It was under a floorboard, locked, covered in dust. She stared at it for a long time before opening it with a tool. Reynolds had taught her to use. Inside were only 3 things. A silver necklace with a symbol she didn't understand, an old folded letter, and a sealed DNA chip. Her hands shook as she picked them up. She didn't know it yet, but the truth inside that box would change her life forever. Later, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Leary sat beside the fire, the necklace hanging from her fingers. Reynolds stepped outside and saw her holding it. He stopped cold. "Where did you find that?" he asked, voice tight. "In the floor," she replied. "It was hidden. Why?" Reynolds slowly sat down. His hands trembled. "That belonged to my daughter," he said. "It was her birth symbol. Human and alien blood tied together." Leary touched the symbol. "It matches the one on my shoulder." Reynolds' eyes widened. "You have a mark?" She nodded and pulled down her collar, revealing the faded birthmark, same shape as the necklace. "It was there since I was little." "I thought it was just part of me." Reynolds stared at it. His voice came out as a whisper. "It is part of you." He took the DNA chip and placed it into an old scanner. It blinked. The result flashed. "Match, 99.9%, blood relative, granddaughter." Neither of them spoke for a long time. Leary's heart pounded like thunder in her chest. "I'm really her daughter?" "Yes," Reynolds said, voice breaking. "You're my granddaughter, Leary." She stood up suddenly, like she couldn't sit still. Her breathing was fast. "I don't remember her. I don't remember anything about her." Reynolds' face was full of pain. "They must have erased your memories, or locked them away with trauma." Leary held her head. "I was sold, beaten, traded like nothing. And all this time, I was your family." Reynolds stepped forward but didn't touch her. "You were never nothing. You were stolen from us. But now I found you. And I'm never letting you go again." Leary collapsed into his arms, sobbing. Not from sadness, but from something deeper, from being found, from being wanted. Later that night, she read the letter from the box. It was written by her mother, Reynolds' daughter. It said, "If you're reading this, I may be gone, but know this, my child is strong. She has my heart and her father's fire. Keep her safe, Dad. Keep her safe until she can remember who she is." Tears dropped onto the page. Leary looked at the sky and whispered, "I'm still here, Mama. I'm still here." The next morning, she stood in front of the mirror and looked at her own reflection like it was new. She wasn't a slave anymore. She was a daughter, a granddaughter, a survivor, a warrior. Reynolds came up behind her with something wrapped in cloth. "What's this?" she asked. He unwrapped it. Inside was armor. Old but strong. Light enough for her body. "Your mother wore it during her missions," he said. "It's yours now." Leary held the armor tight to her chest. "I want to know everything," she said. "About her, about you, about me." "And I'll tell you," Reynolds said, smiling. "Every story, every piece." But far beyond the hills, the slave ring was waking up. They had lost their best product, and they would not let that go without a final war. The moment Leary stepped outside in her mother's armor, the wind stopped. Even the birds in the trees seemed silent. She no longer looked like a lost girl. She looked like a warrior born from pain, raised by kindness, and now standing for herself. Reynolds stood beside her, his rifle slung over his shoulder. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to, this time. They were ready. The warning came through a cracked comm device. The traitor's voice, rough, cold. "You thought you could hide her, old man? She belongs to us. Step aside, and maybe we won't burn your little shack to the ground." Reynolds replied without emotion, "Come and try." Then he turned it off. By nightfall, 4 black ships circled above the hills, heavily armed, full of mercs. Reynolds handed Leary her mother's stun blades. "You don't have to fight," he said. "I do," she answered, calm and clear. "For every girl still in chains, for my mother. For me." The mercs landed and came in waves. The first wave triggered traps Reynolds had hidden under the dirt. Explosions lit up the night. The second wave pushed through with energy shields. Leary moved fast, slicing, dodging, striking with a fire in her soul she didn't know she had. Reynolds covered her from above, each shot clean and precise. Together, they were a storm, but then the traitor himself stepped out. A tall alien with 4 arms, gold armor, and a cruel grin. "Give her up, human," he shouted. "She's nothing but product." Reynolds stepped forward. "No," he said. "She's my granddaughter." And Leary added, voice sharp and loud, "I am not your slave. I never was." The traitor growled and charged. Reynolds took a hit to the shoulder and fell. Leary screamed and rushed forward. Their blades clashed, hers burning blue, his shining red. The traitor was stronger, faster, trained to kill. But Leary had something he didn't. She had purpose. She fought not just for herself, but for everyone who never got the chance. With one final spin, she struck the traitor across the chest. His armor cracked. He dropped to his knees. She pointed the blade at his throat. He sneered, "Do it, girl. Kill me. Be like us." Leary stared into his eyes, then dropped the blade. "No," she said. "I'm nothing like you." She turned her back to him. Reynolds, wounded but alive, raised his rifle and ended it. Silenced. Firelig to danced across the hills over. Later, inside the shelter, Leary helped bandage Reynolds' arm. She was quiet, focused. "You okay?" he asked. She smiled. "I'm more than okay," he chuckled. "You remind me of her." "My mother?" "Yeah, brave, stubborn, full of heart." Leary looked down at the necklace still hanging around her neck. "I think I remember her voice." "Now," she whispered, "just a little, like a warm wind." Reynolds nodded. "Hold on to that." Memories grow stronger when you feed them. Days passed. They repaired the shelter, cleaned the hills, and buried the past. Leary planted a tree outside the door. She tied the trader's broken blade to the base, not as a trophy, but as a warning. This is where chains were broken. One morning, Reynolds asked, "What now?" Leary looked at the sky. "I want to find others like me, girls who escaped, girls still trapped. I want to give them what you gave me." "A home?" he asked. She shook her head. "A chance." He smiled. "Then let's build something bigger." And so the man who had once been alone, and the girl who had once been property, became something far greater together. Not just family, but freedom in human form.